Polytrack is an incredibly difficult speedrun. You have to drive as quickly as possible, and use as many shortcuts as you can. Even beating one of Polytrack's levels quickly does require incredible execution. But 7 levels is absolutely brutal. But what makes this game incredible is their shortcuts. 5+ hours have been devoted to this game, and many people have found unbelievable shortcuts through a small community of runners. 200 runs have also been devoted to the game in general, so you know it's a heavily valued and precise game for speedrunning. This is the history of Polytrack World Records. Polytrack has been a significantly difficult game ever since its release in 2022. Even I can't seem to even get past the first level. Yeah, I'm not the best at the game. But moving on. Polytrack is a racing game. It has a total of 7 levels. Most of them taking less than a minute to normally complete, even without shortcuts. Overall, it makes it a short and sweet game, and all 7 levels can be completed in 3 minutes or less. Now, Polytrack speedrunning is new, as the first record came a little over 2 months ago. Still, we have a lot of records to explore and uncover. So, let's take our look at the first recorded speedrun of Polytrack. The first run was recorded on June 10, 2023. The runner was FatBlizard, and their final time was a time of 4 minutes and 1 second. In Polytrack, the controls themselves are a bit difficult. The first level needs you to slow down just as you come down the slope, to make sure you don't overshoot. After the slope is a small track, where you have to dodge a wall, and you also drive on another big track, this time high in the sky. After some extra driving, you get to a jump ramp, and then you do some more driving and that's the end. Now level 1 didn't use any shortcuts, obviously, as you can tell. But for level 2, things are about to get way more different than normal. It's time to introduce you to the level 2 shortcut. So, how does it work? Well, see, if you drive into the railing just right, you will be launched all the way up, just to the ceiling of another part in the level. And it just so happens that the finish line is nearby. So, you can drive over there, and you can complete level 2 in less than 20 seconds. His hand at the shortcut wasn't the best, but it still showed that Polytrack had potential for even more shortcuts. FatBlizard now moved on to level 3, in which just after a magnetic track, he had to slow down at a specific part, so that he didn't overshoot again. After another magnetic track, another few seconds of driving led him to the end. The next level needed FatBlizard to control his speed again when approaching a jump. Unfortunately, he couldn't slow down in time, and bumped into the wall, sending him flying in the air and losing him significant time. He did still finish the level, but he was way behind. This was not looking good. So, he decided to do another shortcut in the following level, level 5. This is how he did it. He immediately started the track by actually driving off it. He then moved around near the end and then to a wall. For some odd reason, you can actually drive on that wall, then hit another and you enter near the track. You then drive on the track railings and you can end level 5. This was an incredibly smart move, and even if it wasn't great, it was still a really interesting shortcut. The last 2 levels, level 6 and level 7, had no shortcuts. And once crossing the finish line for level 7, he had completed all tracks in 4 minutes and 1 second. But there was something interesting about the shortcuts themselves, not just 2 and 5.
Without anyone's help I found shortcuts 1, 2, 5, 6, and the worst 7, but a lot of others people found those skips too. I only did 2 and 5 because I was trying to get Polytrack up and I had maybe 2 hours to do runs, so I just chose consistency over speed.
Okay, what's going on here? Why didn't he do the other shortcuts? Well, like he said, he chose consistency over speed, meaning that he didn't have to pour in multiple attempts just to get the leaderboards verified. So I asked, so are you saying that when it came to shortcuts, you found them via the comments on the itch.io page or whatever?
No, they might have been on the itch.io page, I didn't look there. Starting trying to find a shortcut because a kid bet me $10 there was none. Then I found track 2, then track 6, then track 5, then track 1, then a worse track 7 shortcut without looking at the itch page. No doubt it was posted there.
I realized that Kodub, the creator, deleted old comments. So today I have no idea if people actually knew that Polytrack had shortcuts before FatBlizard. Despite this, not much people knew about the shortcut. Except for our next runner. On June 16, 2023, 6 days after FatBlizard's run, a new runner emerges, going by the name Slap for Toast. And on that day, he would set a record so incredible, that it beat FatBlizard's run by nearly a minute. Slap for Toast's run itself is an interesting one. He was able to save 2 seconds in the first level, which was great. He then got a cleaner level 2 shortcut, saving another amazing 5 seconds. He would continue gaining time, right up until level 5, when Slap for Toast did something interesting. He just didn't do the shortcut. Even his ghost says it all, he did it originally. But unbelievably, even when he didn't use the shortcut, he still gained a second. He now had 2 more levels to go, this had to be it. A323, an incredible run which was actually good. It was cleaner with the level 2 shortcut and cleaned up mistakes overall. This was actually a decent speedrun. But Slap for Toast actually wasn't done here. Just 2 days later, he would set another brand new record, this time clocking in at 3:10. The first significant time save in this run was when he got an extremely quick landing in level 2. He instantly landed on the ceiling when Slap for Toast did the shortcut, and saved him a good chunk of time. He saved some additional time in level 4 too, when he didn't lose speed on the large stairwell like he did in the 323. And then level 5, where he did not do the shortcut there. And guess what? He got it, and he would save a lot of additional time. Finally, Slap for Toast finished the last 2 levels normally, and he would finally get a time of 3 minutes and 10 seconds. This was the current leaderboard, 2 people setting 3 records, in the span of 8 days. These runs were incredible, improvable, yes, but at the end of the day these runs were very good for early runs. But just 8 days later, one of the few dominant speedrunner would submit their first record. And the one thing that made him and his debut so special. The run was incredible, and probably there could be no one to match this guy's skill. And his name was Gozer. Now, what was so great with the run itself? Well, it was its balance. The run was actually great with each stage, clean 2 and 5, and slight improvements on the other stages. But on the other hand, he had tiny mistakes. He lost around 2 seconds thanks to the fact that he tipped over in level 5 when going for the shortcut. Gozer also messed up on menuing, in which he pressed the wrong level instead of level 7, losing him around 3 to 5 seconds. But Gozer's final time with those mistakes and time gains was an incredible 3:04. And now, with the combination of implementing new shortcuts and the possibility of improving his time, Gozer knew sub 3 was possible. And incredibly, he and the community didn't have to wait long. Sub 3 was here, and by what you can tell, some new shortcuts had just been implemented in the run. It was the culmination of a small and budding community, and finally one day, the Sub 3 emerged. But wait, what were the shortcuts, and how did people even perform it? Level 1's shortcut is the simplest, and it's just like Level 2, in which you drive into a corner at large speeds. Then you fly up and you enter the ending section, which saves a considerable 4 seconds. It's still incredibly tough even as the simplest shortcut, but a 4-second time save is critical specifically in Level 1. Gozer's take at the shortcut wasn't the best obviously, but he was able to shave some additional time off of his record. Level 1 is easy and understandable, but now, we're moving on to our next shortcut, Level 6 a shortcut. So now, let's move on. Firstly, you hit the track railings at high speed, and then a wall helps you bounce on an unreachable platform. Now this is when things get tough and complex. So, you need to position yourself correctly, and then do a leap of faith and hope you don't bump into a wall. After that, you go back on the track, and just like that, you skipped a major portion of Level 6 and saved up to 20 seconds. He was actually able to get a faster version of the trick in his 304 without positioning, but it only was a second faster. Even so, these two new shortcuts into the run would make it incredibly tough to get good runs going, but it was still worth it for any major time saves. But Gozer would do another run, and this time, it had a pretty good chance at being a large record. On the 27th of June, Gozer started off a run with a great Level 1 skip. A quick landing allowed him to save some time. And his Level 2 was pretty good. With a quick landing too. He was a bit behind in Level 4, but he still had Level 5. All he had to do was get a good landing to the end, and get a quick railing jump. That was an incredibly lucky Level 5. He didn't even have to drive over the ending railing. Sadly, Level 6 crashed, and lost Gozer around 5 seconds. Thankfully on the second attempt he did get the level to work. It took him 2 tries to get the Level 6 shortcut, but the winning attempt was actually decent. He didn't have to set up his car. In Level 7, Gozer implemented a strategy where you slow down on the starting slope, so that you don't jump all the way up and you can build speed, saving less than a second. With the strategies in good 2 and 5, he got a final time of 2:44. This was an incredible record. Look, here's the timeline now. Gozer absolutely dominated Polytrack, with each run actually not being far ahead, in dates. But yet, this run stood for nearly a full month. It was just really good. The community was left in dormancy for the rest of June, and nearly the entirety of July too. But then, another new runner emerged. The runner kept a close eye on Gozer. As of July, he was just a few seconds away from getting world record. And finally, on July 31, 2023, he'd get the record. And his name was Rosey. Rosey was a person that was ascending on the leaderboards. He made his debut on June 21 when he got a 3:29. He'd then proceed to ascend up the leaderboards. Meanwhile, Gozer was on his own streak of records. Right up till Rosey was just 6 seconds behind of record. And finally, the date of July 31, 2023 came, and Crunch Rosey would get on a run. He got a quick landing for the level 1 shortcut, so he wasn't too far behind against the record. The same thing could be said for level 2's shortcut, with him not being too far behind from record. The same thing would occur with levels 3 and 4, with him just being roughly a second behind into level 5. But then, he lost a significant 4 seconds in that stage, and it wasn't looking good. But level 6 had time to save, thanks to the fact that Gozer's level 6 crashed once and took 2 tries to get the shortcut, losing him nearly 14.5 seconds. For Crunch Rosey though, it didn't crash, and although losing time thanks to messing up the shortcut in level 6, he was now a little more than a second ahead. This was a chance for record. And so, Crunch Rosey entered level 7 to finish off the run. This was now or never to get a record. And unbelievably, despite the ups and downs, he still got a record by a second with a 2:43. This was an incredibly lucky record, and major mistakes and his chance would be gone. Now, Crunch Rosey now had the potential to continue to get world records, as FatBlizard noted.
I don't see Gozer anywhere.
So now, Crunch Rosey had potential to dominate Polytrack. Here goes nothing. 2 days after the 2:43, Crunch Rosey would get the first sub-240 in the game's history with the 2:37. The run itself was very good, with quick landings on both 1 and 2. Not only that, he got an incredibly quick landing in level 5, as he didn't have to drive up the railing, saving a good chunk of time. Unfortunately, level 6 crashed for him, and lost him around 4 seconds. However, he was luckily able to get a 1-try shortcut, so he was able to redeem himself. And level 7, well, it was clean. And it was mistake-free too. Now, Crunch Rosey was at a seriously good spot, he had the record, and he was starting to make a name for himself. But still, Crunch Rosey would start to continue his streak of records. August was the new month, and it was just going to be full of records. And so, for the next month, he'd continue his runs, and get on this run. This was a new, incredible record by Crunch Rosey. Another 5 seconds had been shaved off and it looked like that he's going to be holding on to the record for a significant time. But Crunch Rosey, well, he had mixed thoughts.
The only real problem has been track 1, honestly. I reset so much. By the time I get to 5 or 6, I've already lost my touch with them, LMAO. It feels like my practice with the other tracks has finally paid off though. I'm confident I can get the shortcuts for 5 and 6 on my first try. And that's all you really need for this world record, in my opinion.
Not only that, Crunch Rosey took another very important note.
So close to 2x.
He was just 3 seconds away from a sub 230. It was going to be tough without any new shortcuts, but there was still the possibility to improve his driving. So, despite the massive deficit with no new shortcuts, he just marched on. On August 6, 2023, Crunch Rosey got off with a run with an okay landing in level 1. He also got a decent landing in level 2, although he did get turned sideways a bit. And the shortcut-free levels, 3 and 4, were also decent. He didn't get the best landing in level 5, but he was able to get something acceptable. And finally, it all came together when he got a 1-try level 6 shortcut. And so, entering level 7, he had a tiny lead. And finally, with entering the finish line, he would get the game's current record, a 2:31.76. It wasn't the greatest, but sub 2:30 is nearby, and I can see it happening very, very soon. The other shortcuts can be used, but it just adds another level of both luck and great execution of the shortcut. But still, even with 4 shortcuts, Crunch Rosey's, and other runs just go to show that some shortcuts are unbelievably crazy. And these shortcuts were all thanks to one person, FatBlizard, and these people were able to refine and use his shortcuts. To this day, Crunch Rosey's domination of Polytrack shows that refining these shortcuts can lead to some unbelievable moments and runs. But still, we know that all world records don't end. And Polytrack is new, so maybe one day, we will probably even see runs in the 2:10s. But still, this was just one big part of Polytrack's world record history. This was the history of Polytrack world records. Thanks for watching. Thanks to FatBlizard for helping me in this video. Please do subscribe to my channel. It helps out a ton.